Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Ruckus Room.
Unleash the power! Unleash the power!
Hey, everybody, and thank you for joining tonight us at the Ruckus Room. So we're going to be talking about and continuing to talk about school safety and regarding some issues that we've had on the buses around here in Flagler County recently. Our studio was able to obtain some video a few weeks ago of a bus out of FPC that travels to the S section. And on this bus, there were several kids standing up because of overcrowding. So I have a guest with me. His name is Chris. Hi, Chris. How are you?
I'm great. How are you today?
Good. And Chris, everybody, is a parent of one of the students that is on that bus that goes to the S section. And I wanted to have him on today to tell me a little bit about what his son has experienced, and we'll go from there. What has your son observed on this bus in the last few months that would be concerning or alarming to you?
Particularly over the last several months, overcrowding. They're getting more and more students on the bus to the point where he sent us a video one morning of multiple students standing in the middle of the bus because there was no longer enough seats. And what concerned me was that the bus driver actually allowed this bus to continue to move instead of either calling for another bus or finding another solution to this problem.
Yeah, it was kind of
I-
alarming when I saw that. It was a little disturbing. Like the kids were just standing there, and like you see other kids like hitting other kids in the back of the head, and they're just like standing in the aisles as the bus is going, and they're shaking back and forth, and their heads are shaking, and they're all giggling and laughing. But it was so unsafe. And did you ever ask the bus driver what's going on, or call the school yet about
unfortunately,
this?
no. I haven't had the opportunity to speak with the actual bus driver. We've made attempts to call the transportation department several times, and usually it goes to voicemail. No one can answer us, and leave a message, and we never ever get calls back.
Well, it's kind of crazy that you say that because, Alan, we just had that guest on about the school bus incident where somebody pretended to be a student and got on a bus after threatening a student at one of the bus stops in the R section with the other local high school. And the school never got back to her. She's still in limbo with all of that, too. But there was a discrepancy on who's actually liable for the students while they're en route to school. Is it the school? Is it transportation? Who is it? And did you find out? You want to talk about what you found out or anything?
Yeah, well, we pulled it up on Chat GPT a few minutes ago, and it says basically that unless the school department contracts out to a third party, which we don't, for the school buses, then the school district is responsible for whatever happens in the bus. They're liable.
So, Chris, if you have a problem with what's going on, the school district would be the one that you would have to contact, according to what it says here. And the crazy part is the bus driver, the cops from the last incident, they weren't really clear on who actually is, they kept getting the runaround is what I'm trying to say. So,
They should have looked it up on Chat GPT. It's easy.
I know, right? So with your son, though, you said this started a few months ago, or I'm sure maybe he's been in high school for a few years. Has this been going on like on off? Because I know my son has had issues. Even when COVID was, right afterwards, we had a huge driver shortage. And he had kids standing up on his bus when he was in middle school. And it was still a problem then, which was 4 or 5 years ago. And if we're going back to that now, I'm wondering if this has always been a problem.
In my experience, there's been multiple problems with the buses, and it just came to mind several years back. My daughter was on a school bus coming from the school when her bus driver was actually intoxicated and ended up getting arrested.
Oh, I remember that story.
Yes, and I contacted the school board, or I'm sorry, the transportation department. They didn't get back to me. The relief bus driver the next day didn't know the route, made them all get off quite a bit away from her stop. And when I finally did speak to somebody over there, he basically started verbally attacking me and telling me that, online, he's getting all these phone calls, the kids are making it up, and this didn't happen.
That they didn't drop the kids off away from their bus stop? He's saying they're all lying?
Apparently, yes. It sounded to me like he was fielding a bunch of calls.
Yeah.
about the same thing, and he was over it, and he's overwhelmed because usually whenever I do stop in there, for one reason or another, there's almost only always one or two people in the office because I'm sure they're busy. But as of last week, my son was dropped off almost a mile and a half away from our house because the bus driver said he's not going to complete the loop because he's got to go back to school and pick up more students.
So he dropped your child off away from the school to walk?
Away from not he forced all the kids on our street, which is a very, very long street, which has multiple stops, to get off at the first stop so he can continue the rest of the route. My son called me. Fortunately, I was home that day.
What were the ages of the students?
My son's 16, so assuming the rest of his friends are 16 or 17 years old.
And see, that's the thing that's concerning because, first of all, that's not real safe, especially, I'm worried, 16-year-olds can kind of know where they're going, but
they're still
right
minors.
Right after that's elementary school. Like, I wonder if they're doing this to the elementary school kids, because I know it happened in middle school, too. And that's a little alarming, you know? You have these little 7 or 8-year-olds getting off a bus, and what if they're dropped off in the middle of nowhere because a guy has to go back and get more kids from school because of a shortage, and they're not notifying the parents. That's the other thing. I know they're trying to talk about transparency and all this stuff the last few meetings of the school board. In fact, 2 months ago in the school board meeting, somebody actually stated, one of the city councilmen, that they were going to go do bus audits. Has your son ever had anybody on his bus to do an audit?
He hasn't mentioned it to me if there has been.
I'm wondering if I don't know how a bus driver, Alan, can pull out of a school with kids not sitting down in a seat properly and being overcrowded like that. Because from what I was reading, that would actually fall on them then too, as their responsibility.
That would be bus driver negligence.
Yeah. It's completely unsafe.
Well,
absolutely. And I'm really concerned about allowing the kids to stand on the bus.
Yeah.
Because of just field of view. God forbid they get into an accident.
Yeah.
And they end up getting hurt. That makes somebody liable. I'm assuming it would be the school, but
yeah, because just
may
from
not be. But
we didn't share the videos because they have kids' faces in them. But maybe I can find a way to redact it so the crowd can kind of see, like, you know, just the movement of the bus with the kids swaying back and forth in the back of the bus, all hitting each other and moving around and stuff. I don't even know how that's not a distraction to the driver, along with not being safe for the children that are just kind of rolling, or, you know, like hovering around the aisles all over the other kids. You know, and it's crazy that nobody else has ever said anything about that except for the one lady from a different school who somebody got on the bus, was pretending to be a student. Are they strict at FPC when your son gets on the bus about his badge? I know you're not supposed to go on the bus without a badge.
I don't know how strict they are, considering I see my son's badge sitting at home regularly.
Yeah, see, that's another thing. That's just crazy.
I'm assuming I could definitely see them getting to a point where the bus driver knows a kid by face, and the last thing you do is not want them to get home. But if they're supposed to be following the rules, yeah, I guess technically he shouldn't be allowed to get back on that bus. But once a week, his badge is sitting here at least. Yeah,
and then my son used to do the same thing and leave his badge at home, but his bus driver would call me and say he can't come on the bus, which again goes back to the safety part, because like the last incident, after one of the kids was verbally attacked outside, the woman pretended to be a student and put her hoodie on and then got on the bus without a badge and started yelling at all of them. And that's concerning, though, too, if the badge isn't getting looked at closely for every transaction to see who can get on and off these buses, too. Besides, like, there seems to be, Alan, like so many safety issues.
I don't think the bus should be allowed to move. I don't think that it should be allowed to move with kids standing. I drive a church bus and, van, but still, we can't move if the kids are standing up. They have to be sitting down.
Has your son said anybody's ever gotten hurt or anything?
He hasn't mentioned anything, anybody getting hurt from incidents like this, but he tells me regular stories about horseplay and stuff like that on the bus.
Well, you can see it in those videos.
Teenage boys.
Yeah. You could see in the videos they were slapping each other.
Escalating.
Yeah, the boys were hitting the girls. Like,
well, if the bus has to jam on its brakes or it hit something.
Did you see the video? They went over, they were swaying.
Yeah,
they went over like a bump or something.
They went over a curb, I think. But if the bus had to stop short, those kids that are standing will be going out the windshield.
And they all have their book bags on them and everything.
Yeah,
so
it's not safe.
what are you looking for, like moving forward? Are you trying to get a hold of the school board, or um, what is your like plan, I guess, moving forward, or how do you want to see things rectified so everybody stays safe and your child's not dropped
Um,
off where he's not supposed to be?
Ultimately, I don't care who says it and how the information gets relayed, but we need to do something about staffing. And I understand that they're having a hard time staffing these buses. The population is growing, and I understand these, but we have an obligation not only to the parents but to the kids to get them to school and from school safely. And we need to be able to, I don't know if that means paying more money, going outside and getting a third party to transport the kids, but we got to be able to get this done safely, because it seems like every year we're having fewer and fewer bus drivers because it's overlapping. I got kids in every grade level almost, or every school. So by the time the elementary school kids are coming home, I get a text message saying their bus is going to be delayed
Yep.
because it's still dropping off the middle school or high school kids. So we need more people, more staffing to be able to get the buses on the road, because I don't think it's a bus issue. I think it's a staffing issue.
Well, it is, and you call them and they say they don't have enough drivers and stuff. But the other thing, like you just brought up, there's no reason why they can't hire an outside source to make up for it so children stay safe, because they do it for everything in the afternoon. Like when my son, he goes on sports, they take the school buses, and those sometimes are the charter buses that are through another party. So I don't understand why they can't, realize there is a shortage. Obviously, there are issues going on right now at the bus thing. A couple months ago, like I said, in the school board meeting, they said they were going to do audits. It doesn't seem like they've touched anything over here, because it's been months now that your son has seen, or your children have seen, people that are in and out of the bus that are standing up, or that are not coming on with badges, or being dropped off way before their stop. So I don't know what they're auditing or where they're auditing, but it doesn't seem to be any high school in our area as of right now. Alan, obviously, between the last two parents that we've had talking about this matter, and it's kind of concerning.
Well, I think that there's a lot of safety issues in multiple ways that we're dealing with now.
Yeah.
People getting on the bus that shouldn't be on the bus, the buses being overcrowded, the buses dropping people off a mile or a mile and a half or whatever from their home. Can't do this. As the caller has said, whatever we got to do, we have to fix it before
Yeah.
somebody gets hurt, somebody gets lost, somebody gets kidnapped, something stupid happens, because we're just opening the door for it to happen.
Yeah. Is there any other things besides the bus that you've noticed would be a safety concern regarding the high schools in the area with your experience?
Not that it comes to mind. My son and my daughter, they seem very happy with FBC. They
Good.
tell me regularly that they're glad they go to FBC and not Kansas. But yeah, overall, it seems like a fairly good school. The staffing at the school has been great. Whenever we go to them with concerns, they call it directly. For some reason, it's just the bus department or transportation that ends up either saying they're going to get back to you and never do, or just completely ignores your call in general.
Well, I would love to follow up with you, because obviously now it has to do with the school district and the school board, and I would be curious to see if they get back to you, because they don't get back. That seems to be the same complaint that we're getting, and from obviously several different parents now, that they're not getting back or returning calls, and I'm curious to see where they're actually auditing. If it's not the high schools in the area, what buses are they auditing, and if this is happening on other middle school or elementary school buses, that would be really concerning, especially if you had a little one dropped off way and standing in an aisle, your little kindergartner or something too, who can't really talk about,
Yes,
you know what I'm
ma'am.
saying? Your son or daughter probably realized this probably isn't right. Like a little 7 or 8 year old's not going to understand what's going on. And they probably won't tell their mom, I have to stand in the aisle at school or on the bus, on the way to school. So yeah, that brings more of a concern. So, well, thank
And
you.
he obviously did, because he took a video and sent it to us.
Yeah.
And was
Yeah.
telling us, like, this is what we're dealing with. So he was smart enough to know. But yeah, my younger kids, they probably enjoy it, not realizing how dangerous it is.
Yeah, they're like,
And that's
whoa,
the
this is
scary
fun.
part.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
well, hopefully this will reach the powers that be, and maybe they'll get on these audits right away. And for our kids' safety, somebody should be looking into this matter, and we'll continue this. And if anything develops, we'll keep you posted, or vice versa. And thank you so much for calling in.
Listen, thank you very much.
Have a great day.
How you doing?
Well,
Unbelievable.
this is just seems to be. We got more coming on. This is just one of many, and they just keep coming. We've had so much information coming, and we're trying to spread it out and post it. But this is so concerning. This is so scary. And I have a 7-year-old daughter, and I can't imagine she wouldn't tell me that. She wouldn't tell me that if she got dropped off somewhere else. I mean, I would have to figure it out if I couldn't find my child at the bus stop. But
Yeah, that would be. I don't know.
I don't want to make the loop, so we're just going to drop you off here. It's not like a Disney ride, you know.
What happens if they drop a kid off
At
a mile from their
and
house
there's
or whatever?
predators around.
Well,
they're in
yes,
Palm
but
Coast.
what we don't have sidewalks.
No, we don't.
So
They're
what
walking in the
happens-
road.
Yeah, what happens if one gets hit a mile from their house because the guy had to run back? This
I
is
hope
bad news all
everybody
the way
puts
around.
Life 360 on their kids and their cell phones or air tags or something, because right now the way things are going, it's kind of been
Yeah.
downhill, questionable. I mean, even like somebody pretending to be somebody's not. And then we just had a few weeks ago the 14-year-old who got into the event at Matanzas High School with a gun. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that too.
What the hell is going on?
Well, we can't turn the schools into a prison, but we got to follow the rules we already have.
But they're not.
And we're not.
Yeah, I mean, like something as simple as getting on a bus and having proper safety. I mean, like the bus
Or your
driver.
badge.
The bus driver didn't know what to do when somebody got on the bus and threatened her student or the kids,
Right.
and she didn't tell anybody. I
Right.
mean, she didn't. She said she didn't have the right training. Are they getting the training they need now?
I mean, how much training do you have to have when somebody gets on the bus that's not supposed to be on the bus to pick up your phone, call 911?
I'm sorry, that's
call
just common sense.
It doesn't take a lot of
I
training
would have
for that.
I would have just called right there. I would have called the school or my supervisor
Yeah.
and said, "Hey, somebody just pretended to be a student, threatened all the kids on the bus. Nothing. I just want to get reassigned and pretend like it never happened." Is what happened. And it's like, what?
Yeah, no, this is it's wrong. It's
And
wrong.
parents aren't notified, and it's just a nightmare right now.
Well, I know for a fact that the school does listen to our show.
Oh
or
yeah,
our shows. We know that they do.
they don't like
been
it.
told that they do.
They don't like it.
Yeah, well,
Still
we're not trying to slander
No.
or bang.
We're
just
trying to tread transparency, just like there's still nothing with
Right,
school choice.
right.
I'm glad you all said when the days are for open enrollment, all that stuff, but they're not being transparent as to the process of what actually happens. Who do you select? Who don't you select? What's the criteria? If they play certain sports, you take one sport over another, because we've had that come on the show saying
Yep.
one sport is being biased because that principal has a relationship with one of those coaches. There's so many things here that
yes,
seem
Yeah.
to be
never ending.
never ending, and we're just going to keep staying on top of it.
But
hopefully.
if everybody stays silent, it will never
But the
end.
thing is, people are starting to come
They're
forward
starting
now.
to come forward, and that's important.
Yeah.
That starts to get the word out
Yep.
so that things can be corrected.
So if anyone wants to come on, we're here. We've got a list of people waiting. We're just spacing them out, and stay tuned, everybody. We'll see you in the Ruckus room next week.